Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass the Move. And for today's episode, we are still in Italy in the Serie A, but with today's team being Juventus, of course, one of the top teams in Italy. They've been crowned the champions for, I think, maybe 4 to 5 times in a row or something along the lines of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So obviously a huge team to take charge of, but again, it should be a little easy to win the league with this team. We'll have a look at the squad. I haven't had a look at it myself. As you can see, I literally just set it up, and we'll be going through the tactics and the team guide together as if I was doing it, the first time, which is really what's happening, to be honest. Just as with the other teams, I never plan it ahead of time. It's just to show you how I would go about doing things and setting things up when I first start a save. So that's why there's no planning in going into these type of videos, just for that reason. But yeah, so one of the first things I like to do is look at my staff, obviously figure out who's good and who's not. But just for the sake of this video, what I like to do is see whose judgment I can trust. So clearly my head of youth development is someone that I can trust. With judging ability of 19, he's almost perfect in to judge the team, basically the squad's ability. You need someone who you can trust, so that you could decide who to keep, who to sell, and what tactics to build, basically. So first we'll have a look at what my assistant thinks we should be playing. So I think he thinks the 4-3-3 is suited for the team. We'll have a look at the squad now and decide for ourselves. So one of the things I first like to do is sort out who should be in the first team and who shouldn't be. So I've already forgot what the staff, his name was. Alright, so Stefano. So we're going to be using Stefano's judgment. So we'll just click here. Nope, wrong Stefano. Alright, where are you? Wrong one again. Why are there so many Stefanos? There you go, that's the right one. Alright, so apparently this player is only suited for Serie B sides, so that means instantly you should be moving him elsewhere. We're gonna, you try and loan him, sell him, whatever you want. I'm just moving him to under 20s to get rid of him for now. And again, this player is the same, so once more, move him away from the first team. Rolando, same thing again. So we're just gonna have to do this for a little bit until we actually get to players who are ready for division. Alright, so it seems that we've finally managed to get rid of all those players, and that leaves us with a squad of 22 players, which is perfect. So like I always mention, I like to have 22 players in my first team, the first 11 who should be all leading players for the division, and then the backup who should be youngsters with potential, the backup 11 who you can rotate with and whatnot. So just a quick look at the under 20s to see if there's anyone hiding here who has the ability to be ready for the first team. It doesn't seem like it. We'll go through the youngsters in just a second, but for now, the first thing we like to do is sort out by the first 11 and try and make a squad out of them, or a tactic rather, that would include all your best 11 players at the club. So apparently Buffon is retiring. I didn't know Football Manager does that already, but I guess that's his last season. Anyways, so let's look at the team. So we've got 2 strikers here, centre back, defensive midfielder, goalkeeper, centre mid, right winger, a left back, a defensive midfielder, and 2 centre backs. Now it looks like we're going to have to try and play a formation where you're using your 3 centre backs and your 2 strikers somehow. But let's have a look at the players themselves and see if they're capable of playing in other positions, basically. So Higuain's just a striker. Dybala can probably play as an advanced playmaker as well. He's not completely natural in the position, but I reckon, considering his attributes, he's more than ready to play there. Bonici, of course, just a centre back. That's all we need him. He can play as a sweeper, but not something I'm familiar with. Marquisio, a defensive midfielder, or even a centre midfielder comfortably. Buffon, of course, just a goalkeeper. Not even sure why I checked him. Pjanic, an advanced playmaker at the same time. Cuadrado, a right winger, right midfielder, and possibly even a right back. I wouldn't trust his positioning or marking, so I wouldn't really say he is a right midfielder, a right wing back, for example. Sandro, left back and wing back, also capable of playing as a winger, I think. Yeah, comfortably. Khedira, defensive midfielder and central midfielder. Benatia is a centre back, and so is Barzaghali. Alright, so I think this is what my assistant thinks would be our best 11. It's not too bad, but I would say you'd have to go for the 3-5-2, and I think this is what you have to go for. I think that's the best one. It says 5-1-2-2, but I don't know, I still kind of consider this as a 3-5-2 to be honest. You could even play it like that, which says a 5-3-2, but I think you've got some decent defensive midfielders, so why not make use of them? We'll keep the 4-3-3 as well, just because I think you can play this way. So we'll go through both of these. I think, yeah, I think we'll use one of them for the possession-based tactic, and one of them for the direct style of play, as we always like to do. And so the 4-3-3 is definitely a possession-based tactic. So of course, control is your best mentality. You can use mentalities such as counter and standard, and of course you can always train your team to get used to attacking as well, just in case you know, you ever need to go onto a winner or the overload as well to try and make your team win, basically. But for now, we'll just keep the control. And in terms of team instructions, like I always mention in all my videos, I like the lower tempo, shorter passing, be more expressive, and roam for position. I am the type of manager who likes to keep the tactical instructions very basic, very simple, but just enough to give your team a style of play. So this is possession-based style of play. But again, if you are the type of manager who likes a lot of tactical instructions, you like to be detailed, you like to know, let your team know exactly how you want them to play, if that's even English anymore. But yeah, so if you're that type, then this is what you should be doing. So you should be getting rid of being more expressive. You can keep it, but I reckon you're better off for possession-based side to get rid of it. Definitely retain possession, of course. You can play out of defense, you can work the ball into box. All those type of things are really good in terms of trying to win the ball back, so that you could keep possession even more. You could play a higher line, use the offside trap, and even close down more. There's an option to get stuck in, but of course it's with the risk of fouls and disciplinary actions, of course the yellow cards and whatnot, and possibly even reds. But it does help you win the ball more often. You can prevent short goalkeeper distribution of the opposition team. That way you're pressing them from the back. If there's ever a team that plays from the back, of course, I've seen it sometimes. But again, yeah, you can also do narrow width as well. That way you keep your players close together, and they can find each other more easily, so you're less likely to lose the ball. And of course you keep a good team shape at the same time. Now there's other things you could do, like look for overlap. But yeah, if you ask me which ones are the key instructions, retain possession, work ball into box is kind of not really a necessity. Same with look for overlap, same with roam for positions. I like roam for positions though. Playing out defense is definitely it. Higher line and using offside traps, as well as closing down more, are all complementary tactics. Not really what makes you a possession-based side. Basically, to tell you the truth, I've played with teams with these instructions, and if you set them up right and they are the right players, I've easily had 60% possession playing this way. Literally just this 4 instructions. So again, it's all up to preferences, but yeah, we're just going to keep it like that because of my preference, I guess. But it's just for your own knowledge. So let's say this is a direct style of play. The 3-5-2 is a bit of a debate, to be honest. I think it's a little bit more suited to direct play, just because you have 2 strikers up top, and it feels like something that is better off at countering or playing in a direct style of. Even though you've got 3 midfielders, for some reason it just feels like that works a little bit more. I've played with a 3-5-2 before. I'm not sure if it's just the team, but I did start with a possession-based side because I thought maybe possession-based is a little bit better. But my team seemed to do a lot better when they played in a direct manner. I had to tweak the tactics midway because we weren't performing. But again, I think it's a tactic that can lean both ways. You've seen Juventus play directly. We've seen Juventus play possession-based football at times. So I think it's a tactic that works both ways. So if you want, you can do this as a possession-based tactic. But we're going to go direct, so that means the best mentalities are attacking and countering. You can obviously train your teams with the third tactic to do whatever other one you want. But for now, we'll be using attacking because Juventus are, of course, a top team. So again, how I like to keep it simple is higher tempo, more direct passing, roam from positions, and being more expressive. But once more, if you like more instructions, then definitely get rid of roam from positions. You can, of course, pass into space, hit early crosses, run at defense, clear ball to flanks. You can even play a deeper defensive line and even close down less, just for the sake of, drawing in your opposition and then hitting them on the counter. That would help with instructions like passing into space or hitting early crosses. You can stay on your feet to try and keep your team shape, and even though naturally when you play a higher tempo and a more direct style, your width does increase, but if you really want to go all out, you can play wide as well. But again, if you're looking for just the key ones, higher tempo, more direct passing, I think run at defense is really useful, and clearing ball to flanks are the most useful ones. Everything else is a bit complementary. But again, we're going to be sticking to the tactics that I like just for the sake of this video. And I think we can have a look at our squad and see what we can make out of these tactics. You've set the instructions, we've set the mentality. It's time to see who can play where and how. So we've got two goalkeepers here which are pretty much perfect. You've got Buffon, who's a star player without a doubt. Nito is a decent backup because he's just a good player, but I like my backup goalkeepers to be youngsters with potential as well. So of course, only sell him if you've got the money to bring in a youngster with potential. He is quite young himself, he's only 26, not too bad, he's basically going to be hitting his prime. But if you sold him for 8.5 and brought a youngster in with potential, that's some decent money. Also, you would be, saving some wages. He's only 61k, but I'm pretty sure if you got a youngster with potential, you'd be paying less wages as well. Dani Alves and Stefan Lichtsteiner, they're both of, experienced fullbacks, and you would have to wait until either one of them start to decline before you bring in someone else. I keep accidentally, okay, so that's Alves who's leading and Stefan is leading as well. So perfect competitors for themselves. The problem is Dani Alves is a first teamer and Stefan is a rotational. He'll be okay with it, but I'm pretty sure just because of their ability, they will give you a headache in selection. They both will be complaining. It's down to personal preferences. But again, I think you should keep both of them without a doubt because they're both leading players. But when one of them eventually declines, sell them off and bring a youngster in with potential. Dani Alves is on 100k, so it's a bit expensive, and Stefan's 86k as well. 86k is a bit more acceptable. But yeah, if you bring in a youngster with potential, again, you should be safe. Alexandro and I think... What's happened to Evra? Oh, they've gotten rid of Evra, that's true. Alright, so you've got Asamoah as well as your left back or your wing back. I'm pretty sure you can retrain him as a left back. He's definitely got the stats for it. He can play central midfield as well, but it looks like where we'll need him is actually left back, which means Sandro, 25, leading player, and Asamoah, leading player as well. So that's again another position where you're going to have a lot of competition. This is a top Serie A side and a top side in the world, really. So you don't have too much to worry in the fullback positions without a doubt, or the wing-back ones, depending on how you're playing. So we've got 5 centre-backs. This is only an issue if you're playing the 4-3-3 because you only need 4 centre-backs. 5 is too many. My first instinct is to get rid of Benashe because he is on loan, but apparently we can't terminate his loan at all, and we've got him until the end of the season. So I would say the best suggestion is, because Barzagli, Bonici and Chiellini are all amazing centre-backs, it makes more sense to loan out Rugani for just one more season until Benashe is gone, and then bring him back into the team. He is a great youngster with potential. Consistent performer is a great thing to see as well. So without a doubt, if you're playing the 3-5-2, then you would need one more centre back. Actually, you'd need 6 centre backs, 3 first teamers and 3 backups, I would say. So again, that's a place to maybe check out in and make decisions on. In terms of your midfield rather, You've got a decision to make. You should have 6 midfielders, so this is pretty much perfect. You need 2 defensive midfielders if you're playing the 4-3-3, or if you're playing the 3-5-2, it's the same amount of midfielders, 6 of them. Marquiso, Khedira, Pjanic, Stuaro, Lemina and Rincon. Now your first team midfield, by the looks of this, you should be trying out Marquiso, Khedira and Pjanic all together. But yeah, you've got decent youngster potential in Sturaro and Lemina, and Rincon as well. I think he's a decent backup. You could possibly sell him and bring in another youngster with potential. But again, it's about preferences. Because I'm pretty sure Pjanic, Khedira and Marquiso are all leading or star players. Actually, in fact, they're all star players. So you've got a star midfield. It's your backups that you might want to keep an eye out for. So Storaro doesn't fulfill his potential being a leading player. You could sell him, but you could trust him just for a couple more seasons. He's 23, so he should really fulfill potential now. You could say the same about Lemina. It's Rincon, who has no potential whatsoever, and you might want to consider selling him and bringing in a youngster, a good youngster, a young midfielder. In terms of your wingers here, this is a bit of an issue because, you know, if you're playing the 4-3-3, then it would make sense to get rid of one of your strikers. And, you know, I think Mandzukic is perfect as a wide target man, but the problem is when you're playing the 4-3-3, you're trying to be possession based, so you can't play the wide target man. You can play probably the Rodomentor, but it doesn't really suit that type of formation or anything like that. I think the inside forward is probably your best bet, but he can't cross or dribble. He doesn't have much acceleration. So maybe you're better off selling Mandzukic and bringing in a winger. I think if you're playing the 4-3-3, you should have 4 wingers. So if you do get rid of Rugani to make 4 centre backs and you get rid of Mandzukic, that means you would need 2 wingers to fill in the squad basically. But of course Cuadrado, a leading player, and Piaka, I guess, maybe, if you want to call him. Let's just call him Marco. He is very suited to the division and he should improve more, so he's definitely a youngster to consider, but you should be trying to bring in how to say this, a proven left midfielder, you know, leading ability to compete with Marco. Cuadrado, you just want a youngster with potential to be his backup, that way they're not, you know, really fighting with each other. Higuain and Dybala are both your, you know, perfectly made for your first team, and it would be a shame, to be honest, to use the 4-3-3 because they won't be playing alongside each other, and they will be competing with each other for the same spot, and I think they're both key players or first team players, as you can see. So there would be a lot of arguments if you're not playing them or rotating them enough. If you're playing the 4-3-3, if you're playing the 3-5-2, then I would definitely consider the need for another striker. And in fact, you don't need wingers at all in this formation. So I would say either retrain Marco here, which he can be retrained to become a striker. He's got decent finishing, vision, all that sort of stuff. He is a decent complete forward, and I reckon he's a decent poacher as well. And maybe even, I'm not sure what you would do with Cuadrado at this point. I'm pretty sure you can't get rid of him. Yeah, you can't. And he's even on loan until 2019. So that's a bit of a dilemma. You could possibly get rid of Mandzukic and retrain Cuadrado and Marco, let's call him, for the striker positions. I'm pretty sure Cuadrado would be a decent striker as well. Not too bad. Because I would definitely not trust Cuadrado as a wing back at all. He's got no positioning, no teamwork, no marking, and especially for a wing back, he's got no work rate, which is really, really horrible. So you're better off keeping him maybe as a backup striker. Instead, you'd have to just retrain him. So that's what we do with the squad in general. So let's have a look at the tactics. Like I always like to say, I'm just going to show you the eventual tactic you should be building on, and then we'll have a look at the team and see what we can do. So this is the type of tactic you want to eventually, in my opinion anyways, build up to if you are a possession based side. Let's just sort this out. Alright. Okay, so I think this is definitely what you want to eventually build to, and the reason being is, of course, I feel like this is the perfect instructions or tactics, roles, and all that sort of stuff and duties for a possession-based 4-3-3. You've got inside forwards cutting in, the false nines dropping in as well. They're all close to each other. When the false nine drops in, the inside forwards will be running in as well, so he can play them in. And I think this is pretty much, this top three here is pretty much how Real Madrid play. And when Benzema used to drop in a lot and play in Ronaldo and Bale, that's the type of tactic you'd be looking forward to. In midfield, you've got the anchorman who never moves. He's perfectly set for his protecting his centre backs, or his complete defence really. I think the anchorman's the best, to be honest. Defensive midfield is decent, but he closed down too much, I think. The halfback is a decent option as well, but I feel like halfbacks work much better when the your left backs or wing backs, your full backs, sorry, or your wing backs are, they're lone wide men. They don't have any winger support or anything like that, and that way, when he drops into the centre back position and they push on, there's no one ahead of them really. So I think the anchorman's the best one for this formation, and for this possession-based side. Ball-winning midfield is just your best support player to play, and of course he wins the ball, and that's exactly what you want to do to retain possession. You've got your advanced playmaker as well on attack. He's perfect. Everything will go through him, and he should be your key player. Of course, advanced playmakers like to keep things ticking over and holding on to the ball, and that way you're holding on to possession as well. And that's what you should eventually be building up to. But if we're going to have a look at who can play where, so let's say Higuain is your first choice player. So I think he's comfortable playing as a false nine, should be, but he's a little bit more suited to playing as a complete forward on support. He does have all the attributes for it. Again, it's up to preferences, but let's say if we play him for his, if we play him in his more comfortable role, it would be the complete forward on support. Left wing is definitely inside forward, but Cuadrado's only a winger, so we'll have to play him winger on support, which means changing this to fullback on attack. I think all of your centre backs actually are comfortable playing as a ball-playing defender, so we'll keep one of them as a ball-playing defender, and that way it's a little more safer. In your central midfield, if we do say either Marquiso or Khedira are your defensive midfielders, that would mean it looks like Marquiso would have to play in midfield. I don't think he's too comfortable holding the line, holding defensive mid as an anchor man. I think even Khedira's not really. Actually, he's decent. It looks like Khedira's a perfect anchor man, but you might want to be playing him in his defensive midfielder role a little bit more. He doesn't have much acceleration, which is a bit of a worry. So maybe you can play him as an anchor man. He's definitely comfortable with that. But he's also a really good ball-winning midfielder, so you might want to consider him there. It's an area where you might want to, tweak a little bit. But if we do say Khedira plays as the anchor man, then you might want to play Marquiso as the box-to-box midfielder. Roaming playmaker might work a little bit, but you would be taking away a little bit of the shine away from the advanced playmaker. So your best bet is box-to-box midfielder. Even though box-to-box midfielders, they can do a job in possession-based sides, but they're a bit suited more to direct play. So let's just say box-to-box midfielder, but eventually you want to build up to ball-winning midfield. So Pjanic will definitely be your advanced playmaker on attack. Without a doubt, that's his best, position, best ability, and that way you're bringing out the best out of him, basically. So it would be perfect. With vision of 18 and passing of 19, you can't ask for more. So this is what your team should basically look like. You can even tweak this to defensive midfielder on defend, and again just eventually build up to the tactics I mentioned. So the 5-3-2 now, we'll just move on. You would definitely want to play a wing back on attack and a wing back on support, and I think the best thing to do would be playing your attacking striker on the same side as your wing back who's on attack. So for playing Higuain and Dybala alongside together, Higuain seems to be more comfortable playing as an advanced forward, and Dybala is more of a complete forward on support, false nine, trequartista, deep flank forward, all of that. So I think what you're best off doing is playing Dybala as a complete forward on support, and you've got Higuain as advanced forward. The poacher is better probably, but of course he doesn't have too much acceleration pace. If you can play him there, he's not too bad as a poacher. I think he actually can do it. I don't know why I said he didn't. He doesn't have much acceleration, but he does have the pace for it. Might make up for it. I didn't think Higuain was fast, to be honest, but if you play him as a complete forward on support as well, he's more than capable. So this is a good thing about Juventus. You can switch them around, and if you do play the complete forward on support, so if you play Dybala here and Higuain here, and they're both not, you know, really performing, you can actually switch them around midway through the game and they might actually play better. Eventually though, I do think you want to work your way to the target man on support. I think that's much more suited to the direct style of play. But again, you're working with your team as well as your, your preferred tactic. Your best bet in the three centre backs, what I like to do anyways, is to play two stoppers out wide and a covering centre back over here. But I think one of these centre backs should be a ball playing defender, and I think maybe it should be the one who's on cover, just because, you know, you're trying to work with your tactics. But I think all your centre backs are comfortable playing as central defenders, so try and do that a little bit more. But let's, just for the sake of it, keep as a ball playing defender. Now the midfield is a little bit tricky, so what you want to do is you'll probably want to play a deep line playmaker on defend here, and Marquisio is more than capable of that. So in this formation, you're bringing out the best of Marquisio. You want to play as a box-to-box midfielder, so Khedira can do that role easily, and you'll want to have to play, you'll kind of have to play a central midfielder on attack. Pjanic can definitely do this, but of course he's more suited to advanced playmaker. So again, consider who you want to bring the best out of as well. I think over in this 3-5-2, you're bringing out the best out of Marquisio. And your strikers, of course, as well as your wing-backs, very capable of playing those roles. In the 4-3-3, you're giving a lot more attention to Pjanic, and of course your wingers as well. But your striker is more than capable of holding the line, or leading the line rather, himself. So that's all for tactics. That's all for the team. Really, the only thing that's left for us now to discuss is the youngsters, and it's just a quick run through about who you should be keeping an eye on. So as you can see here, Juventus' under 20s and under 18s, there's an incredible amount of players here, really huge amount, to be honest. There's too many if you ask me, and a lot of them are on loan. It's just a huge waste. You've got 144 people in your youth ranks, and in truth you should be only having 22 per squad, so it should be 44 really. You've got 100 players more, so it's too many. A lot of them are over age as well. You should not be looking to keep anyone over 20. As soon as you hit over 20, I mean, you can still feature for the under 20 side, but you should be looking to try and introduce them to the first team, or at least just move them to the first team and bring, send them out on loan from there, just to give them experience. So you can pretty much get rid of anyone here. There's no one that's a star player. Zaza would probably sell for some decent money, and that's pretty much it. In terms of the potential, these are the youngsters to look out for. So Moise Keane, if that's even his name, I'm sorry if I ruined it. He can play as a striker. He'd slot in as a poacher kind of decently. He's more of an inside forward if you ask me. Just don't play him on support because he has no crossing whatsoever. But definitely a youngster who'd slot into your side easily if you were playing the 4-3-3. Coleman, I'm not sure if you ever bring him back. I'm pretty sure Bayern have an optional fee that they will probably take advantage of. Your fullback here, perfect. You pretty much from here onwards, these are the players to look up for. So Rogerio onwards, youngsters you should be keeping an eye on. But again, any of these youngsters can go beyond the potential, so don't just dismiss them. Just try and send them out on loan and give them the experience they need. So I think that will be all for today's episode, definitely. If you did enjoy it, then of course please do hit the like button and subscribe for more daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always guys, thank you all for watching.